All right, everyone, welcome back to State of the Game. Dan, I don't know what I just interrupted.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, sounds good. So let's talk. I don't know which matchup do we want to start with here. Should we save the Zerg for last and just start with PvT?
PvT first.
PvT.
PvT.
All right, let's do PvT
It's fine with
first.
me.
Sounds good.
Dan, why don't
Okay.
you start us off from the Protoss side of things?
Well, I don't know how to just start talking about balance, I guess. All right,
What?
so
You did a show called
Well, how about
Unbalanced, man. What the fuck?
it was called imbalance.
Imbalance, whatever,
And
man. He only had one. Doesn't matter.
I was talking about some real shit that was imbalanced at the time, which I was right, and they fixed it, and then there's no point for the show.
Only
So,
Dan could create a show once to get something fixed that he wanted, and then he's like, "Well, we're done here. We don't."
Hey, it worked. Okay, so PvT. Let's see here. I don't really have problems PvT anymore. Well, I have problems in my own personal play, but as far as balance goes, like for a while there, I was thinking medevacs were going to be too fast. That was an issue that I was having but the only issue that I kind of see in PvT, and I'm not 100% sure this can't be solved, is the threat of speed boosted medevacs makes the Protoss third base a lot later, which makes the later macro harder. Because there's no problem in actually stopping the medevacs. You can stop them basically all game long. It's harder than it used to be, but it should be because PvT was maybe too easy in wings. I don't know. Hard to say. Well, I guess not against the top Terrans, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that's the only point of contention that I personally, as a Protoss player, see in the matchup right now. Are the boosted medevacs delaying my third too long, which is basically making the Terran vastly out macro me later on in the game. And I don't know what you think about this, because you said something while I was doing that.
I think that is probably like what most people are struggling with at the moment. People like figure out kind of mine drops and stuff and how to defend it.
Yeah.
Like the hardest part for most people is that they can stop the medevacs, but they're playing too safe when they do that. So they're warping in too many stalkers. They're focusing more on blink stalkers and stuff like that, and that's like a big resource sink. So when they finally take their third, it is kind of late, and they don't have their fifth and sixth gases up, so they can get like storm out in time to like stop like the big max push. But there are like some builds around that kind of exploit the fact of like that they have the mothership core, because the mothership core allows the Protoss to be really greedy early on. They could skip their Zealot and like Stalker like a lot of the times. There's some really good builds like the Double Forge build, and when I say Double Forge, I'm not meaning like a Creator Prime style like Double Forge. I'm talking about like one gate like mothership core expand into like Robo and then maybe like 2 Forge right off of that. And like when the Terran, like if they're playing a standard game, if they're right when they're starting 2-2, like 3-3 is already done. So even though their third's late, they're gonna have like an insane upgrade lead, and that's actually like really strong. I've been playing a lot on NA. Like I know people like joke NA and stuff, but like that build really hasn't come around on NA a lot. So that's why I feel like a lot of the Terrans are kind of dominating. I feel like that's really strong, just because you can be so greedy as Protoss. If you just go like 1 rack CC into like even like 4 barracks, normally you would just kill someone that did that in Wings of Liberty, but with the planetary cannon, like that just gets deflected and they have like 2 sentries. So it's kind of silly. I'm not exactly sure like the best way to deal with that as Terran.
That's actually really interesting, because I just started experimenting with like the super greedy, like literally mothership core nexus into anything type of builds. Because of Tails played against Ryung on Belashir, and he literally went like this. He went double gas, 2 probes in each, mothership core nexus, the SCV was gone, and then he went DT drop into double forge off 2 gates. He had 1 stalker, like 1 sentry, a mothership core, 2 DTs, a warp prism in his opponent's base with the 2 DTs, and then he went double forge Colossus. And I haven't lost with that build yet. Now, it's a. I'm not saying that I've done it like a super lot or anything, or it's unbeatable, but like you can be a crazy, crazy greedy in the very early game, and you know I've actually been working on a lot of just like rain style play, right? Like the one gate expand into Robo, 2 more gates, Colossus tech, etc. What I've found so far is I don't like the blink because I think you're right on that. Where anyone that's focusing on blink to take care of medevacs, I feel like that third base is going to be too late every single time. But really, that's I guess so. Is that the one side that you see that might be overpowered from Protoss? Is the really greedy like quick forges, or is there anything that's like really bugging you?
Because to be honest, like usually like if there is like greedy play, there's like some sort of way where you can kind of punish it. But, like I can't really even think of a way to like super punish it unless you're like metagaming it in the dark. Like, oh, I'm gonna go triple CC, and then just kind of contain them like that. Because like even if you go triple CC and then you go like into 2 medvacs, like they can't really come out of their base. But yeah, like one base pushes, they do not work against that.
Yeah.
Just like since you go 2 forge, like if they are doing like the mine drop, they can just drop 1 cannon in each mineral line, and then they're really safe against that.
Yeah, especially if they go Robo with it. Like if you just get an early Robo, because Stargate openings are they completely gone? Like
no, I see them like all the time, but I actually think they're pretty bad because they only work if I like get caught off guard.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking basically. Like I've just completely stopped using Stargate. Maybe MC will always be able to make it work, but that's his MO. So, like I think Stargate openings are gone. There's like a few Twilight all-ins. But that's like I feel like literally just get a Robo so you have observers. Between Observer and the Nexus Cannon, nothing can hurt you early. And then it's just about the mid-game. Like, can you solve the mid-game in this matchup?
Yeah, and there's another build that's, like, kind of popular on the Korea server as well. Like, Juan was talking to me about it, Major. And, you know, like, 15 gas, like, into a mine drop was, like, or, like, a reactor expand into a mine drop was, like, probably the most popular build. There are some, like, counter builds to that now. Yeah, there's some like counter builds popping up where, you know, like they scout it with their mothership core, like just with their probe scout. And then they, you know, mothership expand and then they go forge into like DT. And they just put like a cannon in each mineral line and then they send a DT there. And it comes at like a timing where you can't really get a turret. I mean, like if you do, like it's like so hard to scout that they're going DT that if you do like just blindly get a turret every time they go double gas, then that just slows down everything, and like your 2 barracks that you add on later on for stim and combat shield, that's so late that, you know, they could be going Oracle and stuff like that, and or just like Robo, and you don't really know that, so it's really kind of risky to just get like the turret so fast. So you know, there are some counter builds, and I don't know, like people are like figuring out like the standard TvP like builds that people have been doing. So
because actually nowadays that I'm playing very specific styles that don't involve Stargate play, like that build that you said, I see it every day, like 10 times easy. Like that build is everywhere, TvP on the Korean server, and I feel like every time I just crush it. Like it never does any damage. Like if I lose 2 probes, I'm upset at myself. You know, like it just like the probes you lose are the ones that are in the geysers when you pull shit away. You know, that's it. So yeah, that I don't know if that build is even really going to stick around, but this is actually an interesting thing to hear from you. I'm glad to hear it. What do you think about mech in the matchup? Is that what? Because I don't know, man. Like
I was trying like 3 base kind of macro mech like TvP and stuff, but I mean it can be done, but you just have to have like the sickest defense ever. You know, there's gonna be blink stalkers everywhere, like Colossus, like walking up into your main, and you know, like if people just like rush Tempest off of 2 or 3 bases, if you don't hit like the perfect timing to punish that, like it's like StarCraft 1, they just get like 10 carriers out and then you just kind of die, no matter how many Vikings you make. Also, I mean, like the thing that you do see a lot, TvP wise, is people have been doing like this 2 base kind of mech all in, or like Hellbats and Thors. That was kind of popular, but you know, I feel like that's kind of gimmicky because, you know, if you see that coming, then you just kind of crush it. Just 2 Robo Immortal, just stay on 2 base, don't take a third, and just like smack it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think mech is like the answer. So
No, I don't either. Actually, it's I don't know. Like it actually beats me sometimes, but that's just because no one really does it. It's hard to practice against. But yeah, it's So do you think? What do you think is the actual answer for? Like, let's say that I want to be imbalanced against Terran on the ladder today. What style should I play? Like, what do you think is actually the most? Is it the really greedy, like quick forges? Do you think? Because I don't like the blind countering crap. Like, I see what you're saying with the forge DT, but that's to me that's like, okay, idiots. Oh, you want ladder points that bad? Good job wasting your time. Go to school.
Yeah. I know, but like you have to take that in consideration, though. Even though people are taking risks, you have to know like how to stop them if they are taking risks. Yeah, I feel like that is probably the strongest style, or at least like what I've like come to realize is just like the really greedy 2 forge, go robo, and then like you can still get out enough stuff to like hold off the drops like at the 10-minute, 11-minute timing.
Yeah.
So I think that is the strongest style. I'm not sure, like there might be like some counter out there, but I don't really exactly know it. And Terran can blind counter that, but they have to know it's coming, which can't really.
What's actually interesting? I think there's already a counter style popping up. It actually caught me off guard a few times yesterday, and I was like, the first time it happened, I'm like, what is this cheesy idiot doing? I can't believe he did that, right? And then I hit it over and over on my stream a bit, and then I hit it later on a little bit. Like I've seen it some. So anyways, what it is they get the gas and like basically get a tech lab pretty quickly while expanding. Of course, you can't see that. Like if you do get in, you see a gas and that's it, and you're like, okay, range of X or whatever. It's a huge amount of things they can do. But it's like a really quick stim, and it's something like basically what it is. It's enough units that it kind of ignores the Nexus cannon a little bit. Where it's like, well, you can Nexus Cannon, but I'm killing a lot. Like, I'm either running up your ramp or I'm getting your probes. Yeah. So it's like, I think the perfect timing for it's something like maybe 2 Marauders and like 10 Marines or something like that with stim. And it's like literally they walk up, then they stim and they run. And it's like, do you force field the ramp? Because then they're killing all the probes. Or do you let them up the ramp? Because then they're in your main and the Nexus Cannon isn't doing anything, right? So
that's sick. That's sick.
Have you seen that yet? Man. Yeah, no, give that a try. That after I hit it a few times, I thought this is probably a metagame build against something super, super greedy. Like if I had gone double forge, like I just happened to go my standard Robo 3 gates, which I guess is falling out of fashion a bit because you can be more greedy than that. So kind of a fun little metagame shift.
Like
I have a question. I have a question. This one's from Rossi, actually, but I'll do it for Rossi.
You're a bro.
How do you feel about the Mothership Core Blink build all-in? Theognis.
Like I don't really have too much problem with it. It kind of depends on my build, my opening, obviously. If I do like the reactor expand into like a 1-1-1 or something like that, that's kind of like the mine build. You only make maybe 2 mines, and then you go into the siege tank, and then you just make maybe like 1 or 2, just to hold the blink stalkers back, and then you have a bunker in your main, and you basically just stay safe, and then you take your natural, and usually from that point on, I basically do like a 2 base all in because they did like a failed all in, and I just have like a better economy. If I'm doing something maybe like a bio expand or something like Wings of Liberty. I don't really have too much problem with that. I just kind of get all my add-ons on really quick, and I usually do that always if I scout like a double gas. Like even if they go double gas into Nexus, you kind of have to get all your add-ons because they can just expand and do like Zealot Sentry or something, and you need like Marauders and Stim. But yeah, I don't really have too much problem with that. But yeah, like if you could do like a factory build with like mines or something, you really need tanks.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. There you go, Rossi.
So what were you saying before that question?
I actually totally forgot.
Okay.
Thanks, Moonglade. Yeah. God.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, what were we talking about before that?
Let's see. We were talking about that little metagame shift of this quick stim timing to run in and punish greediness? Well, that's what I think we had almost finished that up, and then you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, like I'm actually don't know really like a super solid build yet. Like we were kind of talking about like the 15 reactor expand. Like that's not like like people like are really used to it, and you know that's not going to be like a standard build a month from now. We're just going to figure it out. Gasless expand, like it is a little bit risky against some all-ins. It's kind of difficult, like especially like the Oracle all-in and you know Void Ray all-in, and those take like kind of different reactions to like a one base Immortal all-in. So it's or like a one base Colossus all-in or something like that. So it's a little bit tricky on that. I'm not exactly sure like what is like the best kind of like I don't know what's going to be like the standard build maybe like a month or 2 months from now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of evolution left in that matchup because I think we actually kind of nailed it in this discussion. Some of the back and forth of the metagame due to the powerfulness. Like, yeah, it's hard to get that third base at a normal Wings of Liberty timing. So Protoss is becoming greedy, and in response to that, Terran is, you know, trying out some new things such as this stim timing I've been running into, and I'm sure there's some other things people are brewing up right now, but. That's like pretty healthy to see because as it like shifts back and forth like this, we can actually find the happy medium where it's like safe and solid on both sides. But it looks to me at least like it's going to become pretty balanced. Like people are too stuck in their mind as Protoss overall. I think are too stuck in their minds about getting that third base and utilizing a large economy against Terran, whereas they might have to switch their view now and say, okay. I'm going to be the one with less economy right now in this matchup, but maybe I can get more tech more quickly to get some sort of control in that way, or I can get more upgrades to make my less units worth more, and then get my economy a bit later. But it feels to me like we're going to find that happy medium. It feels like it's going towards there, especially with the metagame playing off itself like this.
Yeah.
What do you say to that, Theognis?
Yeah, like I would have to agree. There's definitely like a lot of metagaming and stuff. So I don't know, but like I said, like I haven't had too much practice about it. Like I know of the builds because I've played like a few games on Korea and stuff like that. But you know, in North America, everyone's going like Wings of Liberty style, like just 3-gate Robo Colossus with like Blink, or they'll do like an Oracle all in, and you know, like I don't think those are very good builds. So.
You should play the Korean server more.
Yeah, I know, but I have like so much like latency just because I like
really?
But yeah, when I was in the Quantic House, I was playing like 8 hours on Korea, but can't really do that anymore. So I have to play North America. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I know.
It ends up Dan apologizing.
Lately. I get like really low ping to NA, and I get really unfun ping to career, but I ended up just getting sick of NA, so I just play career anyway.
You know, I don't know if I'll ever move out of Korea, but if I were to, like, perfect connection to the Korean server would be something I would require.
Yeah.
It's important. Good internet, yeah.
It
absolutely.
is.
So is that PvT? Call that a wrap on the matchup?
I don't know if I have anything else too much to say, because I think we kind of hit it.
I want to hear, like, Dan, you opened up by saying that medevacs right now are maybe the one thing that you're unsure of in the matchup. Is that correct?
Well, that's
assessment.
They're the ones. That's the thing that's like making it questionable. Like that's the thing that everything's revolving around is this new speed of the medevacs, which is like both Terran aggression, the way that Terran is expanding. Everything about Terran right now playing against Protoss is based off of the speed boost of the medevac. Like. Yeah, people use Widow Mines, some people go mech and stuff like that, but that's not like the crux of everything. The crux of you could take everything else away, and if the speed medevac boost was still there, the matchup would still be turning like this. Whereas with Protoss, that's what's doing it too. It's like, yeah, we have the Oracle and the Tempest, we don't really care that much. The Mothership Core is the only thing that's truly allowing us to do anything new and special against Terran, and the thing that it's revolving around, which is the speed boosted medevac. So that's the point of contention that's changing everything in the matchup, basically.
So, Theognis, can you either respond or talk about that?
No, like I would have to agree. Like everything really is kind of revolving around the medevacs. Basically, like every strategy. I mean, like people point to mines and like Hellbats and stuff, but like And you think about like they nerfed the Hellbat because of the Hellbat drop, so it was like the medevac that kind of like nerfed that. So I mean, like people are like bitching about like mines and stuff, but it's like the mine drop. So
yeah, the mines. I don't think those are actually an issue anymore. To be perfectly frank, like I have no issue whatsoever playing against mines now.
Mm.
Well, I think Dan, let's give Theognis a little break, because I'm sure Moonglade's just gonna fucking try to rip him apart. So
not that bad, man.
Let's do PvZ for now, and we'll save TvZ for the final one. So
all right. PvZ.
Yeah.
Late game is fucked up, man. How the fuck am I meant to win late game PvZ for ZvP? I feel like
against what you gotta expand
on
that.
All right. I'll give you.
Are we talking about Void Rays?
Maybe. Well, like mass Void Ray, like late game, like mass Void Ray. There's no real answer to it, to be honest. There's just not. Like if they actually get to that stage where they have like 6 Stargates pumping Void Rays and a 3-3-3, and it's just like I can make 200 pop of Hydra, but if he's got 1 Storm handy, then they're useless. If I go Corruptors, they're useless because they Voids do extra damage. Anything else really just gets stormed or killed.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, it's like, obviously the point for Zerg at this point would be to obviously kill them before that stage, or like try something, or get in a good position with powerful economy advantage and whatnot. And yeah, that's what I do. But there are games where it'll get to that stage, and I'm like, I have like 10k, 8k, I'm like, alright, what am I gonna make? Nothing. I can't make nothing. I'm screwed. And I just suicide armies into armies until I rage quit. So, what do you reckon? Tell me your thoughts.
Well, I do reckon, and I don't make Void Rays against Zerg, because I think that there has to be a patch, to be honest. Like, how badly Void Rays kill everything, as long as you have a little bit of splash damage with them, is so silly. Like, literally the best thing I can come up with is you hit them with like a big attack that pushes their splash back, and then you try fungals. Like if that's the best I can come up with to deal with the Void Rays, you know.
Yeah,
in theory crafting, I'm like,
I was talking to a bunch with Mafia. Mafia's actually telling me some new style he's doing, it works pretty well. It's like Ultra, Hydra, like Viper sort of style. And like you pulling like half your stuff in, and your ultras kind of clear out the ground army, because there's like, and some Zerglings obviously to help out, and it works pretty good up to a point. But when that point, either they make a new army that's like perfect for dealing with ultras, like adding immortals, it's useless again. And but I've kind of like I've been doing some tricky kind of well, not tricky, but I've been doing like a lot of tech switches late game too. So I go like, Ultra, Hydra, Viper. I crush like the Colossus Void Ray before they get too big, and then and then I just go Broodlords, man. And I got Hydra, Broodlord, Ultra, Viper, and hopefully because I've got too many Void Rays or something. But I've been playing around with that lately, and if they skip Colossus straight up, I just go like for like a Swarm Host, Hydra, Viper push or something like that. So they only got Stormed, and they got a Swarm Host, Locust. That's pretty useless. But it's kind of where I am right now.
No, I mean, that sounds about what I think about the matchup, too, pretty much. I really do think Void Rays somehow need to be fixed a little bit. Like, again, I was saying before in PvP that the matchup is kind of cool because of them, but they still might be a little bit too powerful. So it's like, it might be like a hard line to do exactly, because if Colossus come back into vogue in PvP, that's going to be a really sad day for the matchup, but PvZ is probably a bigger issue right now than that by far, I would say, rather than, I'd rather see PvP go downhill a little bit and try to fix this, because, I find it kind of boring to watch a lot of Protosses play against Zerg, because it's so open Stargate, go into Colossus third base, more Stargates, and just Void Ray, Colossus or something like that, and I don't like that.
I have a question. So yeah, like in the root chat, like there's a lot of Protosses, and they're always like complaining. Well, I'm pretty sure you guys know this build, but they always talk about like the 3-hatch Hydra, into like mutaless, like really quick mutaless.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that build? Is it like really good, or I don't really know too much
well,
about
like
it.
any kind of like muta switch is really strong if you have the right tech and like they've gone the right tech. Like if you're going like a Link Roach like harassed on their third or something, and they're clearly going like Colossus Void Race from the start without any Phoenix or something like that. Just bust out like 20 mutas in their main, and you got the whole game like lots of multitasking and expanding to do. And yeah, there's definitely opportunities for muta switches. They're like very strong now.
Yeah, there's so many muta switches. In fact, at least on the Korean server, that as soon as I feel like a battle is tapering off, because normally Zerg is like running in, running out constantly. As soon, like the second I feel that tapering off, I start Phoenix production. Because the thing is, it's not bad to have a couple Stargates, because that can help you late game no matter what, right? So, like the second that's tapering off, I go into Phoenix, and you know, when mutas get there, if I have 6 Phoenix already, then I'm fine. So, but yeah, I totally know what the root guys are talking about. It's definitely something that I'm seeing quite a bit. And the thing is, even if they're not going into mutas, it's okay to have 6 or 8 Phoenixes with your army after you've stopped some aggression. So,
it's but the problem is that like a lot of Protoss will open Stargate and go Phoenix. So if they're already fighting around with like 10 Phoenix, muta switch ain't going to be too useful. They're going to have like some decent defense already built in. So you got to pick it. But yeah, muta switch is probably definitely one way that I use to deal with Protoss before they get to the death ball stage.
Yeah, you know, I'm really sad about that death ball too, because like not making any Phoenixes, PvZ is by far my favorite matchup right now. Like it's so fun, just completely skipping Void Rays, and like some of the crazy compositions that come out. You know, there's some like really strong Zerg stuff around there too. Like let's talk about non-endgame Void Ray play, because I think probably just about everyone except a few over-entitled Protosses think that Void Rays are probably a problem in the matchup right now. maybe life will figure that out for us too, and we can move on. I'm fine with that. That's cool. But in like mid-game and stuff, there is some cool stuff that I've been seeing from people. And in some of these big like half map games on some of the bigger maps, Whirlwind, Belshear sometimes, Daybreak, not as much Daybreak, it's kind of like linear, but there's like some cool Swarm host play I haven't seen as much as I was seeing before, but I still think there's some cool stuff out there with adding in some Swarm hosts. And the Viper play is so exciting, man. Oh my god, I love when it's like a Viper-based army fighting against me. Like, it's fun when they're like just outside of the Templar range, and they're both kind of going like this, waiting, right? And then like you dart in and like abduct a Templar, and I'm like, no, like trying to feedback.
I do love
Viper
play, man.
I think there's like outside of the Void Ray splash damage composition, I feel like there's a lot of different compositions both sides can use, and it's a really back and forth, like really healthy, fun game, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. You can definitely have some really cool fights that game. And I do love using Swarm hosts against the right kind of army. It's actually like probably one of the funnest things when like Swarm hosts can actually be used effectively. Like, for instance, against like Terramac or something, or like Protoss that have just skipped Colossus. It's like the best feeling in the world is if you scout like a 3-base like Immortal Templar all in or something. You're like, I fucking know this is coming. 16 Swarm hosts, smash Spine Crawlers, and they can't actually get past it. And you're just trading for free, and they'll go into Colossus, and you got to go into Vipers, and then something. You can always switch up units, and Swarm hosts have really given like Swarm hosts and Vipers really mean that this Protoss Death Ball is not like unbeatable like somewhere in like Wings, when like the ground you couldn't just fight it with the ground army, but now you can thanks to the Vipers. And it definitely adds a lot more dimensions to it. And I feel like one thing, Protoss seem to have like such great utility now in PvZ because of the Mothership core, especially like the recalling and the time warp and the Nexus cannon. Like they can get such fast thirds now, and they're pretty much completely safe once they've walled it off with gateways. Like you're not going to break in. Yeah, and yeah, obviously recoiling is just so sick. Like they can suicide like a base and just recoil and like fuck. It's just so many cool things.
I've done a lot of that. That's pretty strong, man. Zerg 4th bases are not so easy to hold anymore.
Yeah, man.
You know, there's one thing. Let's imagine we live in a world where Void Rays don't exist, right? I've hit occasionally late game the composition of like a good amount of swarm hosts, along with quite a few corruptors. What's he calling me?
Tell Nick to shut up.
That's not Nick. I have other friends, JP.
No, you don't.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so I guess basically the composition I want to mention is like, let's say that they have good creep spread, fine amount of queens around. Okay, because that's kind of important with this. Like if you go like swarm hosts and you have some vipers mixed in and corruptor hydra. I find this because of course you're gonna have some detection there as well. I find this really, really hard to engage because the locusts are going to be really good against High Templars, which you kind of need against the composition because the Vipers do so well against the Colossus. So getting any detection over the Swarm hosts and keeping that detection alive is such a battle that I actually start going like 3 Robo Observer with speed on different hotkeys around and just dart them in really quick, you know? And it's... I don't know. I feel like that composition is so insane if we just totally discount Void Rays. You know, because Void Rays, if we nerf Void Rays, what about this unit composition, theoretically?
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, you do have Tempests, I guess. Yeah.
Tempest Storm Cannon always will be good, I guess.
Yeah. But like, as you said before, there's always a battle between Templar and Vipers, man. As Vipers, if they get too close, they fucking disappear in a second.
The thing that bugs me about it, though, is that Locusts are so good against Templars. Like, when you see Locusts coming, you run those fucking Templars out of there because they are done. Yeah. Like the Locusts take them out in 2 seconds, man. It's craziness.
Best feeling when that happens.
It's a funny little dance, yeah.
Yeah, it's very true, man. But yeah, it's all about positioning and microing, and I wouldn't say it'd be unbeatable if Void Rays couldn't just steamroll that, but it'd make it for an interesting game, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that something like someone figures out something about the Void Ray compositions, or they get like some sort of nerf, like they don't kill corruptors instantly.
Yeah,
you know, something like that. Like maybe just nerf them against corruptors. I don't know, because like, the thing is,
it's meant to be like good at killing other air units. Like that's their like purpose in this game is to be anti-air, but they just get fucking 2 seconds against a Void Ray because when that charge thing, it doesn't make sense.
And yeah, I guess it's kind of hard. I've heard that people are using Void Rays against Terran. Is that true? You actually, I'm talking about late game compositions. Do you ever see that? Because I don't think it's actually true.
No, I haven't seen it. Like I saw like maybe once, but yeah.
Vikings would just solve that shit anyway, man. You just match Vikings, just run away.
Yeah,
that'd be so nice.
So, Void Rays, they make PvP so much better in the late game. They definitely, in my opinion, it's a much better, much more skilled base. There's more multitasking, there's everything in the late game. It's just much better with Void Rays. So how do you know, because I feel like the next balance patch that happens, the only thing that well, we'll see after the TvZ discussion, but as far as Protoss is concerned and the Protoss matchups, Void Rays are too strong against Corruptors specifically. I feel like that is the #1 issue for Protoss overall out of all the matchups. They're too strong against Corruptors. So, like, because if we could just slightly tweak them against Corruptors a little bit, I feel like we would get the most insanely awesome late game PvZs. Really, like the unit compositions would fluctuate a lot, and it would be so. Because I'm having such a blast.
So
playing
what's
that
the tweak
series.
then, Dan?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not sure. This is, I mean, making balance patches for the most difficult, complex game in the world is pretty tough. Okay, if you ask me.
We know Davey's watching. Just give him an idea, man.
Like, well,
just armor. Change the armor class of a Corruptor or something. Something that'll make it so it doesn't take extra damage.
Well, the thing is, I still think the Stalkers should get that little damage boost against them. I don't know. Maybe the charge up ability needs to be tweaked a little bit, or I'm not completely sure. But they kill corruptors too fast, I think, is the biggest issue, perhaps.
Yeah, there's no army that can kill Void Rays. Like, surely there should be like at least one cannon to every sort of army composition, or like one unit. But there's just no unit in the Zerg arsenal that can actually kill like mass Void Rays.
Have corruptors do splash damage, then you can deal
with
that.
Yeah, man.
Stick.
Yeah. That'd change everything up, man.
That would change everything, and it wouldn't change how they work against. Well, I guess it would change how they work against Terran a little bit. And it would change. It wouldn't really change anything against Colossus type play or anything like that.
No.
I don't know.
Funky idea, but that's kind of like a really big change.
You've solved it.
It's a big
I don't know.
Strike cannon, man.
Maybe their ability can, be like an AoE, like bomb or something, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just give them fungal.
That might be
balance.
too, man.
Yeah, just give corruptors fungal. There you go.
Yeah,
give them a different version of fungal, like the old version or something.
Air fungal or something, like.
Dude, that'd be sick.
That'd be sick.
What about PvZ, ZvP late game? I mean, not late game. I'm sorry, early game. What do you think about the early and the early mid game? Like, have you hit a lot of soul trains with Mothership Core?
Yes, I have.
And do you think that it's harder to deal with than in Wings Liberty, or easier to deal with? Because, and here's the thing for people back home, just to see what the difference is. It's a Mothership Core added in, which obviously is going to be fantastic for the push. But also on Zerg's side, if you choose Go Hydras, they're actually like a reasonable unit to transition with later in the game. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on Soul Train in Heart of the Storm.
It can be pretty brutal. Absolutely. It's probably as strong as it was in Wings, or if not stronger with that Time Warp. But yeah, if you can get to Hydras and mass Hydras in time, if you've identified what you can do and can't do in the matchup, and like you've got the economy to support mass Hydras and you get them out before he attacks, maybe with some spine crawlers, and yeah, you can really crush it. I guess just a scouting game, really. But yeah, it's still incredibly strong though. I mean, I've seen, even today in the IPTL, some Protoss completely crushed. I think it was Shine with it. Shine, like, yeah, he did the Ling Roach stuff there, but man, he just destroyed him completely. So it's still very viable, and there's a lot of viable all-ins kind of like that, with especially with Time Warp. It just makes the Zerg army pretty damn useless in some situations, going so slow. And like, you got all the time in the world to just do that beautiful force field.
Oh yeah, the easy man force fields.
Yeah, dude.
Do you think that any of this is like balance-wise an issue, or is the onus on you for scouting it or for your micro? Like, what do you think about that? I
don't think we've seen enough of it to really say for sure, but I think it's a lot about scouting and taking the opportunity to tech to Hydras in time. Or if you want to do the Ling Roach stuff, just make a crap ton of spine crawlers and have a good position ready. It's kind of the same deal as it was in Wings. Just scouting it and being completely ready for it. But I don't think it's imba. There are some other good timings, like with I don't know, 1 Stargate Void Ray, mass gateway units, and a Mothership Core, and it's like Blink Stalker with Time Warp, and yeah, there's all sorts of things. They're trickier because of the Time Warp, but not imba or impossible.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that the biggest difference that I feel is like trying to do any kind of like Ling Roach timing on like a third base is so much harder now that they got the Nexus cannon.
Yeah, like people that still try that, I have to wonder. Like,
yeah,
just I don't think it works anymore, really.
Protoss is just so much safer early game. Like Zerg have a great harder time trying to deal damage early game.
Indeed. As far as from the Protoss side, like the only new all-in really is like, I guess the Nidus Queen Swarm Host thing. Yeah, I don't think that's an issue, really. Like, I don't think that's an issue, because either you already have a decent amount of Stargate units and you can, like, screw up their, like, kill every Overlord because all their Queens are on the other side of the map, or, like, you already have a Robo and you can go into Colossus and you're... I mean, it can be a good game, but nothing in balance there as far as I'm concerned.
It's more like a bit of a gimmick, if anything. Like, if you scout for it, you're going to be alright.
That leaves us at mutas in PvZ and how those are doing. So What do you think about mutas in Zerg vs Protoss? Like, do you ever go them off 3 base? You never go 2 base, right? I haven't seen a 2 base muta in.
No, I don't do 2 base, man. That's that's all in, man. If they're going Stargate tech and you're going 2 base mutas, you're fucking dead, man.
You better be going 2 gate corrupt. Oh wait, no, they have void rays. Well,
yeah,
so
I do.
Do you ever go 3 base like without like do you do like mass ling double evo into it, or do you do mass ling into it, or do you do like a transition after roach? Like what do you how do you like to go mutas if you go mutas?
I do mix. I love mutas. I love mutas. I haven't done them as much as lately against Protoss, but throwing them in there is always a super powerful thing. Especially if they don't open Stargate, I'll always look to it. But yeah, usually it'd be like off mass lings. Like if I scout, they're just going like a fast third, and I'm like harassing with mass lings. And I say, all right, just go straight, like 6 gases, take a 4th, we'll just go straight into mutas. And I usually stay on that for a very long time, and take like up to 7 base gases and just mass muta into until the time where I have to transition or win the game. Absolutely, now, man. I think they're really good.
When you do that, do you feel like it's actually completely viable if your opponent plays completely right? Because I don't know, I think it probably is. But like, yeah, when enough Phoenixes, yeah.
If they go like straight up like mass Phoenix, then you can either go like for the corruptor muta thing, where you can like try and negate Phoenix while you take out their base and stuff, or you kind of just have to make the switch if they've gone like. If they have gone like Phoenix with range or like really good Templars, like muta regen helps a bit against the Templars, but not completely. Like you can still lose everything.
I feel like that style you just described, which is just like mass mutas. I feel like that's, unless I've chosen to be an asshole, that's the only time that I find myself ending up in Tempest Storm Cannon. Because like you go Phoenixes because you're gonna have to against someone that's so committed, like you're saying with the mutas. You're just like, well. You know, Storm is going to do okay, and so are Blink Stalkers, but am I going to walk out on the map against this much creep spread, that many mutas, and infinity lings? Like, it's pretty risky, so I find myself going, like, 3 Stargate, +1 range Phoenixes, and then I'm just like, well, as soon as you see Corruptors, you know Broodlords are going to come, so you make Tempest, you know? That's my opinion on it, but,
that's good.
Speaking of said unit composition, instead of talking about Void Rays late game, what do you think? Do you still ever hit that? Do you ever have trouble against Cannon, Tempest, High Templar? What do you think?
I haven't really fought that as much since like the beginning. I did notice that a lot in the beginning, but that's still damn strong, man. Like Cannon, Templar, Tempest is so damn frustrating to fight against because it's so hard. Like. Just get blanket storms on anything that's going to try and be the anti-air and then like cannons. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't really fought that as much, but I do think that's very powerful.
I think that we don't see that as much because it takes forever to win and it's totally boring and takes no skill. And that's actually because like apparently there is a Protoss on the top of the Korean ladder, way up there, right up at the top, that's beating every single Zerg every single game by taking a quick third, massing cannons everywhere, starting Tempest immediately, and getting Storm and going into a 4th. Okay, so Keller was telling me about this because apparently this guy was beating Scarlet and Hyun like nonstop. Yeah. So without anything other than Keller telling me that much, literally that much, lots of cannons, immediate Tempest. Like I've done it a few times, and like you can't die as long as you're patient. Like you can eventually just win on most maps. Like any map where you can actually secure a 4th base, if you make enough cannons and enough storms and enough tempests, like I don't know if that's going to become something that's like imbalanced, but it's like so unbelievably boring. It's like
that sounds like a game killer, man. Don't want to see that on GSO.
It's a game killer, man. It is not something.
Spamming me right now.
Huh?
Juan is spamming me, and he's saying that it's STX Deer.
That's the guy going for that strategy?
Yeah, he's going to STX Deer. So apparently everyone on Teammate's been like complaining about it. So apparently it's pretty good. So
good to know.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. Like that sounds like pretty unbeatable. You'd really have to like contain and like starve them out or something.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, well, I don't think you can use on every map. Like I think it's probably not that good in Belshir. I think it's probably really good on Akalon. Like, I can't imagine losing with that strategy on Akalon. Can't imagine.
I remember you doing it on your stream. I think it was on Belcher, and you ran out of money.
Like, so far behind, and it didn't matter, and like I had to end up throwing away my own units, and then eventually it's just like, well, Jesus, this is. But like, imagine if you get really good at that. It would like, would you?
Yeah.
I don't. I think
you're just very hard to die.
I think you just wouldn't die. Like.
Yeah. It's Zerg would have to see.
I can't think of anything that really beats it. Yeah. You'd have to use Fungal Viper, Swarm Host to poke, like Corruptors.
Like Mass Corruptors, and
I don't know.
I don't.
I guess we won't really learn about that though until the Void Rays have either been figured out how to be dealt with or dealt with. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's really the. I think that's actually like holding back what PvZ can be right now. Is
holding back the meta man.
Yeah,
holding it back.
Yep. I think so. It's slowed down quite a bit because of those Void Rays, unfortunately.
All right, that's PvZ. Theognis, have you prepared yourself?
I'm not that bad.
And yeah, why not? Why not? I have lists of arguments right in front of me. I got it all.
Oh really?
Oh really? He's been prepped.
Well, I don't have like huge amounts of problems with ZvT. I do think it's winnable, but I do think it's insanely hard, especially with mines. Mines being my greatest concern. I think actually I've already thought of the solution to mines. Or a step in the right direction would be giving them the same aggro as caster units, so they can't just sit in front of an M&M army and not get focused down if you attack move into them, because they won't actually get hurt until they're burrowed and shooting shit at you. So I noticed that a long time ago, and I'm like, I catch an M&M army out of position. There's like 10 mines where my banelings are about to roll over, but they're unburrowed, man. So I run into the marauders that are hiding behind it, and they have time to just burrow and shoot everything. That alone, I think that'd make a big difference if they actually had like the same sort of targeting as like a Templar would, because they are casters after all. They just burrow first and then they cast. So I don't see why they wouldn't.
That's interesting, because I can see that as a Zerg, that would be like impossible to target them down with lings. Well, not impossible, but like really a huge burden.
It's it's almost pointless, man. Like, especially if they got the drill upgrade, they're going and like you ain't gonna kill them.
Yeah, it's like 1 second.
Make that noise. Yeah. And, I feel like that would change a lot of things. And I don't know, they are really hard to deal with when they're on the map, especially like if you had a few fights and there's leftover mines on the map and you're running over them with like 20 lings and they're gone. And just in general, they're like the most cost-effective unit in ZvT, like by far. Like they're so sick. That's pretty much my biggest complaint in ZvT. Medivacs are very fast and cause a lot of problems, but I think if you're on top of your multitasking, you can deal with it.
So do you think like pretty much every Zerg's kind of needs, or they're like forced to go meterless in the matchup?
I think so. I think it's the best way to do it anyway. Like otherwise, if the Terran identifies, you're going like
Hydra or something.
Ling Infestor into Ultras or some shit. They're just gonna drop you for like all day long, or the Roach Hydras. Like you're so immobile compared to like the speedbags that they can really abuse you. You pretty much have to force to go into Mutiling, which is unfortunate. Or you can do like some sort of Roach timing, which can be good.
Yeah, like I really don't have any trouble other than like a really good like Ling Muta Baneling player. Just someone that really like deactivates the mines with like a pack of Zerglings or something before they engage. I mean, like still a lot of people are doing that life build where there's like the 4-hatch Ling Speedbane. I know that is kind of like a metagamey thing, because like if they do get tanks, then that just kind of get crushes. Like it just gets crushed. But like if I'm going bio mine, like I don't know exactly like the perfect counter to do that. I don't really know exactly how to stop that if I'm going bio mine. I guess maybe just make like a few tanks and then transition to it, but then that just kind of feels like a waste, and like if they don't do it, so I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, that is tricky. I don't normally do the whole Ling Bane stuff. I kind of just looked at it and I was like, if they went tanks and you're screwed sort of thing. Yeah. Or like, and he's kind of like, I guess mass Hellions would be really effective too, because I know a lot of people still like to enjoy the old blue flame into whatever.
Yeah, I actually did that to you on ladder, man.
Did you?
But yeah, I tried to do that, but then you like scouted it, and then you just took like 4 bases with like roaches or something, and I just like died. Yeah. But yeah, that wasn't too great. But yeah, I was trying to metagame the lights.
Our last game. You remember our last game, man?
Yeah,
where I was teaching you about. I was telling you stuff about 2 racks cheesing me, and then while you're like building a barracks in my base on Daybreak, it's like dirty as shit. That's an
imbalanced strat, man. It's good. You can do that with Wings too, so.
Yeah, I do feel like you can't sit on Mutal Link Bane either. You got to really transition fast into tier 3, or you eventually lose out to biomines because they just get too cost effective and too big. And if you have too many mines, then no matter how much you try and deactivate them, like if Marines are sitting behind them, your Lings are going to die before they shoot, and it's pointless. So I feel like you need to transition to Ultras pretty quick.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Ultras are definitely the answer, because just the medevac boost, and the fact that Ravens have 7,500 Seeker Missile now, it's really easy to transition into the kind of like late game air army. I actually kind of like your suggestion with the attack priority change with the mines, because
I feel like it's a small change. Yeah, and it might be enough to actually like mean the Terran has to be a little more careful, and like Zerg has like an easier way to deal with them if they catch him out of position, like they would against tanks. They actually have to have time to set up that shit before they can just borrow it. It's right now, like especially with the speed drilling, man. Like there's so much room for error. Like they can be like, oh shit, Zerg, drill, and like it'll be done and ready to shoot before anything dies.
Yeah, I'm kind of like nervous because like if they do like nerf like the damage or like the AoE or something, TvZ is going to be really hard because of the Ultralist buff, because now they do 5 flat damage to everything, and then Wings of Liberty, like you would just go Marine Marauder tank pretty much, just kind of max out and like kind of trade armies and like whittle them down. But now with the 45 flat damage, like the Marines used to tank damage and then the Marauders would deal the damage, but now like if they get Blinding Cloud with their Ultras, with like Ling Bane or Fungal, like the Marines don't take damage anymore because like, what is it, like 2 shots from the Ultralist and then the Marines just die?
2 shots.
So if they over nerf the mines, or if they like do anything with the damage, like I'm kind of nervous about that, because then they would have to nerf Ultralist, and you know that would just like affect like ZvP and everything as well. So
yeah, well I think at least that change would make things a little bit better. Like it's still very hard to deal with them, but it's not impossible. It's just about being very multitasking and aware of what shit's happening, and have plenty of overseers and scouting wings.
The answer to PvT is definitely the changeling with the overseers.
You reckon?
Legit, man. That's the answer. Caldor found it out, man.
What if there's like a Marine standing behind the mines and you just got all these Marines running into him and it's all good? It's like, it'd be useful, like, if you're like trying to like go across the map, maybe like on Daybreak or something, you send some changelings around the sides before you move out. But
this just in new metagame shift, 1 Marine standing in middle of every minefield. Then Zergs catch on, and whenever they see a Marine, they're like, oh, there's mines over there.
Overall, I find the matchup really interesting. It's like way better than Wings of Liberty, and I'm not just saying that people think Terran's strong, but it's just like more action-packed. It's not all about like rushing out the infestors anymore.
It's way better to watch as a non-player of the race.
Yeah, and not only that, it does reward the higher skilled player because there's a lot of multitasking now. You know, usually a Marine tank would be kind of like one big army. Maybe you like do like a drop or stuff like that. But like with Biomine, it's more cost effective when you split the armies, because Marine Marauder is a lot more effective when they're in like smaller packs, and when you split them up, it's a lot harder for the Zerg to like disable the mines, because they have to send like a few Lings in. But like if they're getting attacked with like another equally sized army, it's really hard to kind of balance that. So it's really become like a really multitask heavy matchup, which I think is really good for TvZ.
I have a question for you guys. How much are you seeing mech in TvZ right now?
It is so bad.
Very rarely.
So
I'm
bad.
very happy if I see mech, because I'm just like, I get to make swarm hosts. Well, I used to go like leaders into roach into swarm hosts, maybe like 16 to 30 swarm hosts, depending on what they got.
16 to 30, you know, that range right in there.
I just have
pretty precise.
It's like a Destiny range there, man. Just massing
swarm hosts. I kind of like, I look at their arm and like, he's trying to beat my swarm hosts, mass tanks. I'm gonna make another 16, and like, and I just sit there and just send shit in.
The counter to swarm hosts is tanks until you find out the counter to tanks is more swarm hosts.
Yeah. Well, then you just add like a few vipers, and then you just blinding cloud, and all these lurkers just come in and have a party. So I haven't really fought like a mech that's devastating or anything like that.
I mean, mech you can still like win with mech, but it's like you have to be on even like an even game. Like if you fall behind at all, like they're just gonna get like the swarm host like army out, or they're gonna go roach hydra with viper, and like, you know, if you siege up, like they'll just do the blinding cloud, and so it becomes really hard because you have to like split your tanks, and it kind of becomes like one of those like TvP pushes where, you know, like in 2002 where they would like make one turret like kind of just leapfrog across the map, but then by that time they'll have like their hive tech out, so it's kind of hard. So I definitely don't prefer that matchup. You know, with like Marine Marauder, you just kind of run out of the cloud, so it's a lot better.
So none of the even like Banshee based mech play can be used anymore.
I mean, like that is actually how like I was kind of dealing with it. Like, you know, you could try to run around, but that's kind of silly with mech because they just see it. Banshee play, that was kind of how I did it. Like I would try to add more starports and do that, but then, you know, they could just make static defense or hydras or queens or stuff like that. I'm not a too big fan of that, so that's kind of why I just stopped doing mech like altogether.
Yeah, mech doesn't seem that viable anymore.
Interesting how that goes. Is there any Sky Terran around at all? Because Battlecruiser's got a big buff.
Right?
So
I see a lot of like Terrans late game go for like mass BC. Like they'll try and go into like max out on BC sort of thing with some ravens and stuff.
Is that any good?
Dude,
Can be good.
It's sick.
Can be good.
I have like the sickest kind of game plan. Kind of like I do like Marine Marauder and stuff. And then, you know, obviously you're just gradually Actually, no, not gradually. I'm like aggressively expanding, and you can just kind of zone things off and kind of limit their expansions and stuff. But the mines, they allow you time to transition into mech, or I mean to Sky Terran. And what I like to, well, you know how you do like the 2-2-1 timing with like the +1 vehicle like weapons usually in like Wings of Liberty. I would do the plating instead, and you know that just allows your mines to like more survivability against like Zerglings and stuff like that. But that also transitions into the late game when you start transitioning into like Vikings and Ravens, because they combine like the air and vehicle plannings, I mean. So like, you know, when your BCs pop out, like they're already like 0-3, so you just kind of have to get ship weapons and stuff. So I'm really liking it. Like if you do get like 6+ BCs with Raven support, like it's kind of silly, I think. So I really like it.
I guess depends where you are in the game. Like I've fought a lot of Terrans like that, but I had like the sickest banks. I'm like, it's like 50 corruptors, like sup bitch, and like I bait out all the seeking missiles, just run away and come back, and I don't think I've lost. I might have like lost one game to the BC thing, but I have had some very interesting games against it.
Yeah, I pretty much only do that on like Whirlwind. Usually I try to like end in like the mid game and stuff, but you know.
Yeah. It's
when all else fails, make capital ships.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How good is the new Raven in the matchup? How's that
really
doing?
Good.
Is it really good? Like you get it every game, or is it really good? Like, oh, if you're in a situation where you got it, it's quite useful. I think
you should always aim for it. Like it's just like a free nuke. Like, and the Zergy that has to run or tank it, and like if they tank it, they're gonna get fucked up with most unit compositions. I highly recommend it if Terrans aren't doing it, because man, like you can't really stick around for them. Like especially like three start up, like you got to decide like right then, am I going to commit and am I going to lose everything, or am I going to bolt? Though it is good that you can actually run from them. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I think they're good, but the current metagame is that they go like ultraless, and like the Hunter Seeker, it's all right against it, but I'd rather just make more mines or more Marauders, or just drop more. It's kind of just really good against like the Broodlord Infestor composition.
Oh
yeah, good smash that.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
I don't really find too much utility against that.
Do you guys think that there's like an issue with how well mines do against mutas specifically? Because I know this is something we talked about a long time ago, about how the mines are going to make it so that mutas are basically cleanup duty. Like they're with your army or they're cleaning up drops on you, but like they won't be able to harass as much. Have you found that to be the case? Do you think that could be an issue? Like, are mines too good as anti-muta?
Well, if there's like 5 mines, then it's very bad. But usually if there's like 1 mine, it's like 1 muta gone, and like you're regenerating your HP pretty quickly. So I don't think it's too bad. But it depends. It all depends on how you're microing your mutas, and if they're like in a little bunched ball when you're attacking, and if you're running into like 3 mines in a little bunched ball, then you're gonna lose everything. Straight up. You got to spread them out. I always spread my shit out if I'm gonna engage mine fire, including the mutas. You can't just have them rolled up.
So no complaints as far as that.
Not too bad.
Yeah, like if you harass with it, you just bring like an overseer into the main, and you don't want to like clump it. Obviously, like what he was saying, but you just kind of like fly in there. I usually experience it a lot like in backstabs, like when I'm moving out. Like I'm bringing a lot of my mines on my army. I don't want to leave too many mines back at base because they actually are like they actually do like take up a lot of supply if you start building a lot of them. So they're like I see a lot of meterless like backstabs when I'm like moving out. So I think they are still kind of useful. But yeah.
So the one other question that I had was how useful do you actually find Vipers against MMMM play? That's Marine, Marauder, Medevac, Mine play.
We've actually had 4 M's now.
Rarely.
The fuck?
Very rarely use them. Very rarely use them against MMM. I usually rather invest in like infestors, to be honest, because you want to keep them still. And like with Cloud, they just run out, man. Like that. Like, oh shit, I'm stutter step out, no problem. Against mech, but no, I don't usually use Vipers against mech. I mean, it'd be really good, just like 1 or 2 for utility, like just in case to like really screw with them. But
like I liked when I saw like the Medevacs being pulled back, like it was cute stuff at first, but I didn't think that would really last.
But if they have the booster on, like you're not gonna catch them anyway, man. You suck them back and it's fucking up.
That happened a couple times at MLG too.
It pulls the Viper with them back to the Terran base.
It's like 2 months, man. It just takes a minute. It should happen like that because that's how fast they move. But nah, I don't usually use Viper.
I usually, like if I see them, I usually only see maybe like 2 to 4 at max, and that's just for like a few like blinding clouds. And like if you're not like if you're not like running away, then like your army will run into their army, because that's just kind of how the AI is. If the blinding cloud is, you just run into the ultra and like if you're not really paying attention to it, or if you're just kind of like stimming and then attacking, you're not like immediately pulling back, then you will like lose a big chunk of your army if you're not already like running away. So,
absolutely.
I wouldn't make too much more than like 2 to 4. So
yeah, good utility number, not too much of a commitment, because they are pretty heavy in gas.
Is the Widow Mine really like the only thing that you have a problem with, Moonglade? Like you don't really care about Reaper openings anymore. The speed medevac fine. Like is the Widow Mine really the only thing that you're thinking might be a little change?
Speed medevac is also very hard to deal with, but I don't think it's impossible. But it's fucking hard, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard to deal with. Even with mutas chasing them, they're so fast they'll get away. It's definitely plays a big part in losing games, I feel. Like thinking of like all these Korean GMs that I've played lately, like they've just taken me apart with just medivacs, man. Like they do like little line split offs with like a medivac, like 10 Marines, 2 Marauders, and like 3 mines on a base. And you're gonna commit a lot to that because you're gonna lose a lot if you try and engage mines with Ling Banes. And you have no choice. Plus, there's like medivacs in your main. And there's one speeding around into your 4th, and one speeding into your natural, and then they get caught, so they pick up and speed away. And then, I guess, yeah, you know, boosting makes it so much harder. Absolutely.
Do you think that that's something that might need like an actual change in the game? Like, for instance, we agreed that Void Rays probably need a little bit of a nerf somehow to help fix PvZ. But what about TvZ? Do medivacs actually need to be changed a little bit, or is this something that you guys are going to learn to deal with over time?
I still think it'd be nice if medivacs had some sort of repercussion for using a boost, like energy or something like that. Just at least a little something. It doesn't have to be big, like 50 energy or 25 energy. Something that'll actually mean that they just can't like boost forever, no problems, like without any sort of cost. Because man, you're using a lot of fuel when you're using a boost. Like surely it should cost something to like. That's the logic for a second.
That's like, hey,
you could be converting your reactor energy into like boost power or some shit. I don't know how they want to play it, but it should be something like that, man.
You know, if we want to get nitpicky over that, then space maps and mutas shouldn't be able to fly, right? I mean, they should be ground units on space maps.
Yeah. So I get carried away, man. I'm just
Healers still make like screeches, and you can hear it in space. Like, what is that?
It's true.
Well, they're like aliens, man. They got special powers. Who knows how?
Special powers.
Theognis, what do you think about possibly having the medevac have to give something for the speed boost?
Never. You can't do that. If it goes back to if it goes back to Wings of Liberty, I'm switching to Protoss. Like, I'm promising that.
It'd be fair to wait till like, I don't know, GSL or something to see how good Terrans can really abuse those medivacs, but I think it's pretty damn good. From what I've seen, it's like, it's so hard. And it does really limit Zerg's options. Like, they pretty much got to go mutas or they're going to get dropped a hell of a lot, and that's going to take so much more effort than just chasing down medivacs.
I think I have a way that we fix all the Zerg matchups immediately.
I feel like
what if we just brought Scourge back into the game?
Yeah.
Like seriously, think about this, right? Like, what if there was Scourge? Like, you could kill off a medevac, you could kill Void Rays, and in ZvZ, mutas would now be much more risky because of the Scourge.
I'd like that.
Do you think Blizzard would actually patch it like that? That would patch a unit in. That would be unprecedented.
Not till
there's zero precedent for that, so I think we'd have to wait for Legacy of the Void for a chance of it. But I'm just saying, like, off the top of my head, I feel like all these things that were like, how do we change these numbers?
What if Corruptors spawn too many Scourges?
Well, that would be too good, man. What the hell? Talk about anti-air, JP. Oh my god.
I know. I think actually In Control proposed that, but
he must have been trolling. I don't know. That's crazy. But I'm just saying, like, Scourge, maybe you could find some sort of price where they're reasonable, you know, because that would, I don't know, that could be kind of cool.
I guess cool.
Yeah, I guess areas with like a lot of dead space over the air, you could never drop Zerg though, because they'd just patrol a few Scourge and they'd catch everything probably.
No, man, you just medevac boost.
I guess that didn't really happen in StarCraft 1 anyways, so I guess that probably wouldn't happen here, especially with the boost.
Yeah, boost would outrun them, for sure.
Just some food for thought.
That would help out ZvZ as well, right?
Yeah, it would fix ZvZ.
That would kind of kill the muta battles, for sure, I think.
It would make him, well, I guess you can't really micro the same, and SC2, so it would just kill the mutas.
And you know, I guess you could try to storm Scourge in PvZ, but you know, if 2 or 3 Scourge kill Void Ray, then suddenly I'm really nervous with my Void Rays. I guess I'd have to go like Archon to try to be sure or something, but I don't know. I think it might be something that definitely has possibility to help that.
Absolutely. It'd be nice, but
definitely better
wait a year or two and see what Legacy of the Void brings us, I guess.
Yeah.
How long till Legacy of the Void do you actually figure? Until we have the beta of Legacy of the Void?
Didn't they say 2 years?
I'd say 2 years.
I'd say 2 years.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah. 2 to 3 till the beta
years.
is my guess.
Yeah.
I didn't know they already said something.
I think so. I might be making that up, but.
Oh well, it sounds about right. Okay, so I guess this is like toning down a little bit. Let's final
close,
thoughts. Yeah. I'm gonna go around. I want everyone to say what they think in the game actually needs some sort of change in a patch, because that's to actually make the game like perfectly balanced. Theognis, what do you think? What actually needs a little change in a patch?
Alright, being totally non-biased, I think the mothership core, just being like really greedy behind that, and plus like they could just fly in your base at like 4:30 and just like scout everything. I think that's a little bit silly. I mean, I've kind of gotten around it, but like I still think that's kind of strong. If I want to be totally non-biased, maybe increase the cooldown on the medevac. I hope not, but you know that might work for it.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I just hope they don't like over nerf the medevacs, because like if they make it on like a tech lab and you have to research that pretty much just kills the upgrade. Yeah,
it definitely slows it way the hell down. That's
yeah,
for sure.
you might as well need.
Imagine how
like
greedy I could be against that shit. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like might as well just need like a fusion core to make like medevac speed or something. But yeah, other than that, I
think it's pretty good. Other than that. What do you
it's
think
like a
about
really fun matchup?
For the mothership core? What type of change would you suggest if there was going to be a little change to that? Because you cite both greediness and scouting, so I wonder how that could, like, slower or like, what do you think?
Yeah, but if they're slower, then you can still be greedy behind it. You can still just shoot off the planetary cannons.
Like maybe less range on the like. What do you think?
Less range on the planetary would be good. That'd be pretty cool. Less range in the planetary. Oh, the Nexus.
Oh, on the actual Nexus itself.
That'd be cool. That's massive range, man.
It is massive range, and I can see as a Zerg player that you could be upset, but I feel like we need it against how quick the speed medevacs are. It can like chase them out.
Right.
I mean, I still think it's good. I just think like maybe getting the planetary nexus like that early, maybe like more energy or something. Because like, you know, even if you do like the standard, what it used to be standard, like a 5 Marine poke, they'll have like a planetary nexus by then.
Yeah.
And you know they could just skip like their early game units and stuff. Yeah, Nexus Cannon. This might as well be a planetary fortress, man. Shit's scary.
Oh, please don't even get me started on planetary fortress, Theognis.
Hey man, Blinding Cloud works on the planetary fortress, so it's really good.
That's craziness, by the way. I had no idea until I saw someone do that. Like, whoa! That reminds me of when the Overseer used to contaminate planetaries. People would make a planetary in the middle gold base on Metalopolis, or Metalopolis, and I would just contaminate it and run up and kill it with roaches and run away. It was so fun.
So good, man. I miss it.
All right. Thank you, Theognis. Moonglade, what actually needs to be changed in a patch? What needs to be changed to make this game balanced?
I would say Void Rays, and I would say my idea to Mines was brilliant. And I think those two things. Brilliant.
I think it's brilliant, actually.
It was brilliant.
I changed my opinion. It's brilliant, not just good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, those two things would, I think, change the game, make it better. Not necessarily have to change Medivacs just yet, because I think it'd be better to wait and see what happens with them. Like, they are strong, but better to wait and see. But it feels like Mines should have something different about them. Not necessarily weaker, just something to make it a little easier.
I really like what you're saying, because when I was first having trouble with them, just my units would never target them. You know, they'd be in the front of the army and my shit doesn't attack, and I'm like, what? So
and maybe there's also another cool idea would be to change what they look like when you see them, like when they're about to trigger. You know how they become visible when you have no detection.
Yeah.
But it looks like you can target them because they look exactly the same whether you have.
That is true. So I think you see a little bit less. I think
a little bit less,
like a little tiny, like around the edge, like a little bit less.
But But it's not enough, man. Like I try and target that sometimes, and I'm just like, fuck. I just target that with mutas, and mutas clumped up, and now they're all dead. Yeah. So it's like that was stupid. So that's another thing. Let's change color or something. Or be shaded or something to make them look a little more hidden.
Sure, sure. What change would you suggest for the Void Ray?
I think overall they should do something less damagey, because yes, it'd be nice if corruptors were able to take hits from them, but thinking about it, like looking at what armies have sent into their deaths against such mass Void Rays, like even if you go like 100 Hydras and they have nothing but Void Rays and they flip that switch and just attack, like I still feel like Hydras don't even step up against them, and like you'd think like ground NEA would be pretty good against like something like.
What do you think about a nerf to the health of Void Rays?
It could be,
because I'm trying to think of a way to maybe make it so that they still have the effect of eliminating Colossus in PvP, or at least greatly minimizing that. And I feel like something like that might be like a good middle ground.
Well, it's kind of hard to identify what a Void Ray's purpose is, besides like this bulky, like damage to everything unit that's good against air and ground. It's like it has no real weaknesses, man. It's like it should have like some sort of purpose, like it's like high damage, low HP sort of thing, or like it should be like good against air or good against ground. But if it's good against everything, it's kind of just like this unit everyone should just mass. And
like the Marine or something.
Yeah, exactly like
wait. So why did they change the Void Ray to like how it is in Heart of the Swarm in the first place? Like I didn't really hear why.
In Wings of Liberty, it's worthless. Like you never make it ever unless you're Rotterdam, Wolf, or Genius. You know, that's
Cruncher.
The only 3 players in the world that made Void Rays. So it was garbage. So I mean it was I guess it was too strong before when it had the speed upgrade. Oh, those were fun, but
oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Hell, I say why not try to bring back the old speed Void Rays? Just bring them back to exactly what Void Rays used to be. I'd like to play around with that.
All right, Dan, you got to answer your own question now.
Well, wait, is that all the Widow Mines and Void Rays you think need to be fixed?
Right now, yeah, I'd be happy if those things got changed.
And then we have the Mothership Core and the Medevac, so we have some disagreeing people here. This is interesting.
Well, the Medevacs are strong, but I'd like to give it more time. And Mothership Core is very strong too, and allows Protoss to be a great deal more greedy. But I don't feel like it's really broken the game for me yet, from my personal experience. Maybe some more time will tell.
All right, Dan, it's your turn.
I'm actually going to steal from Moonglade and say I really like the idea of the mines having a higher priority, so that they actually will get attacked if they're at the front of the army. Maybe make them, if they're a little bit further back in the army, I think that that's going to reward a more skilled player on both sides, where the Terran decides like where to put them in their ranks and when to bring them up and when to burrow, because they can be targeted more easily, as well as the opposing player gets to decide, do I run, do I keep fighting, what do I do in this situation? So I think that could be a really nice... They don't even have to be the highest priority. Just bring up the priority some so they actually can get attacked ever. So I think that could be a really nice change.
What else?
And other than that, I think... and I don't think they're a problem at all, by the way, in TvP. They're just an option, I think. Other than that, I think the Void Rays need something done to them, but I'm very wary exactly what that something is, because I'm playing a lot of StarCraft nowadays. I am so badly not wanting to go back to Colossus in PvP, because it's so much more fun actually, like, not just having a death ball. Being able to actually do various things and multitask in PvP is great. So something to Void Rays. I don't know if that's less damage or less health, or I'm not sure what it is. That's a really hard question to keep PvP looking great, and to fix PvZ a little bit so it's not just like one strategy we keep seeing. So yeah, that's my answer to the question.
Well, I think it was I think that was like the best balanced show we've had. There wasn't any like snarky comments or anything
No
like that.
gangbangs, man.
Yeah, there was no gang banging.
Felt good.
It was just good. We got it all out. We put it out on the table.
Felt productive.
Had some good ideas. It was good. Let's do some shout outs here. Moongler, why don't you start us off?
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to my team at V. Shout out to all the Aussies watching. I actually have a friend's game that he made to plug, or he's making. I'll link it in this chat. And I'll link it in the stream chat. But yeah, it's a really sick game that my friend made. I should check it out in that Steam. Yeah, maybe you should link it. I don't know if that actually works. Oh, subscribers only.
But, I got you. I'm showing it.
Sweet. Yeah. So vote for. Have a look at the trailer. Vote for him. He's actually a StarCraft player that made this game, but he also is he works as a designer for games, and he's recently made his own game with a friend, and it's actually pretty damn cool. Looks really fun.
Yeah, it looks good.
Actually, it does look fun.
Yeah, it's actually like a fun, like arcadey kind of game, and it should be on Steam, I think, and he should be making money from it.
I think that means you can play it for free. I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
don't quote me on that.
I highly recommend everyone check it out. As well, I should give a shout out to Symphony of Legends, the concert happening in Brisbane in November. You should check it out on this link here that I linked in this chat. Yeah, I'll be there. It should be great. It's got lots of StarCraft music. And yeah, just thanks for having me on the show again. It's always an absolute pleasure to be here. And yeah, thank you very much.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on. Artosis, do some shout outs.
Of course, TTE Sports. Because of them, I'm able to play like a lot more, which is making me a very happy person, because that's how I derive happiness, is playing StarCraft. So yeah, they're an awesome sponsor. I've been streaming a lot on twitch.tv/Artosis. Not going to today. I'm like really busy, but I'm streaming like 4 or 5 days a week right now. I'm pretty happy with it. And let's see. Oh, I just made a post on my Facebook, facebook.com/Artosis. If you're a bronze player, no, not if you're silver or gold. If you're a bronze player who's in bronze, and you want to post a couple of your losing replays in response to my thread on the Facebook, I might be able to help you. I'm going to be helping a few bronze replays. I'm making something. I'm like still feeling out exactly what I'm doing, but I'm trying to like help a few bronzies and stuff. So if it goes really well, I might do it for other leagues, go up the ladder and try to help out some for everyone. But yeah, that's me, and yeah, follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. Thanks.
There you go. And Theognis, the soft-spoken Terran here on the show. Where can people find out more about you and any other shout-outs you want?
Yeah, just thanks for having me on the show. Thanks to Root Gaming, all the sponsors, DOS Keyboard, Rush Order Tees, Aver Media, and Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. It's @RootTheognis. Pretty much from there, you can like find out like everything I'm doing, like streaming, if I'm doing like coaching lessons and stuff. Also, I think on Sunday, which is probably in like 2 days or so, I'm probably gonna release a replay pack. I actually have a replay pack thread on Team Liquid, and I've been trying to like update that like every few weeks or so, just when I have like a good chunk of replays. So the next one coming up should probably be like 300 to 350 games. So just check it out.
Sick.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there's actually like no real tournaments anymore. So for like a while, so like I'm like, yeah, I'll just like upload a replay pack. So yeah, just follow me on Twitter, and then I'll just tweet when I'm doing that. So yeah,
cool.
Thanks.
You can find all of our Twitters right below our webcams right here on the stream. Two things. One, if you haven't watched the E.G. Stefano, the little mini documentary that they put out today, do yourself a favor and go check that out. It's only really good. It's only about 6 minutes long. It's super refreshing to see a pro player like Stefano kind of just be real for 6 minutes. Like, he is very, very truthful, and he definitely understands what he wants to do. So go watch that. I don't want to give too much away because a lot of it is just it's very much just Stefano. So go watch it. It's a good little 6 minute watch. The other thing is the State of the Game thread's been kind of dead on Team Liquid. I don't know where all of the trolls went, But like, this was a 2-hour balance show. If there's not 10 posts when I wake up tomorrow in that thread, then you guys are fucking up. So go talk about all the balance. We'd love to obviously hear your feedback, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's on Team Liquid, or whether it's tweeting at all of us. That's going to be it, though. Dan, we doing it same time next week?
Yep, I'm good. Same time until DreamHack. And then we'll have to do it on like a Wednesday.
All right. Well, next week will surely be a fun show once we know and can talk about really what's going on with all of this stuff happening in Korea. Remember to watch that on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I believe. I don't know if there's going to be a stream for any of that, but I'm sure the information is going to be out there as soon as it happens. So other than that, this has been State of the Game. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. We're out. Peace.
Yeah.
Very well.